Hi divers, Alec Peirce again. Sea Hunt Remembered. Another piece of trivia, part of my Sea Hunt collection to share with you today. And I hope you find this interesting. I think it's pretty neat. I have some neat stories to tell you about the Sea Hunt scripts. 115 episodes. And I have the scripts for about 130 of those episodes. And these are original scripts. These are the actual scripts. This is what they look like. Always had a red cover on them. This is a bit shop-worn. Whoever the actor was that used this particular one, he didn't treat it too well, but it was only for a few days anyway. And a bit of water on it. That makes sense. It's a Sea Hunt script, you see. And there you go. So what they had, essentially, this was the script for the entire episode. And so what they had at the very beginning was a quick synopsis so that people had some idea what the story was about. And then they had the list of the different roles. So Mike Nelson is in there and different people as well. And there's a description of what they're supposed to be like. So tall, dark, handsome, well-dressed, and so on. So the person knew, the actor or actress knew how they were supposed to dress and act. And then that particular actor would go through the script until they came to the parts that they used, and they would, oh, okay, this is what I have to say, all right, and they would learn their lines, and it was a script. That's what it was. I have many of the scripts that I have in my collection are actually marked by the actors. Now, they're particularly exciting, because what it means to me is that one of the actors in the Sea Hunt episodes actually held that in his hands, read his script, and made notes. You know, and one I know it says captain's cap. He had to have a captain's cap on at that particular point. Another one put little notes in, and maybe they stroked out words and replaced them. So these are actually the actual working scripts that the actors were given by Ziv Productions prior to the filming of the episode. I think they're pretty neat, and I've collected a whole bunch of them. I've chosen a few today to share with you, and I've just taken a few out of the pile. Maybe I'll go through and find some other interesting ones. I've already mentioned previously that there were some great actors. Well, there weren't great actors then. There were nobodies then. You probably don't remember when Bruce Dern, Robert Conrad, Jack Nicholson, Leonard Nimoy, when they were a nobody. They were a nobody. Everybody was at one time, of course. And they were nobodies back in the late 50s, early 60s. But Lloyd Bridges would often invite these interesting new actors to come out and join him in an episode of Sea Hunt. And all those actors, the ones I've named, and many, many more, that went on to become well-respected, busy actors in the industry. Many of them started out in Sea Hunt. I still discover new ones all the time. But anyway, they would get one of these scripts and they would learn about them. I will go back and see if I can't find one of the scripts from somebody famous, maybe Jack Nicholson's, and see if there's some notes in it. I chose these two for a reason, however. There were different writers for the episodes. Now, the writer's job was to actually make up the script, to write the story, and then to break the story down into the different roles and write the lines for each of the people. It's a very demanding job. It's not terribly creative. They were often given a synopsis, a storyline, and then they had to flesh it out, if you like. They had to take that little simple synopsis, you see that paragraph there, and they had to turn it into a half-hour show, 20-minute show. And so a lot of work. And there were a number of writers who were very good at it. And once a production company like Ziv, the production company for Sea Hunt, found a writer that did a good job, they would call them and say, we have a new episode, you want to work? And they'd offer it to them. So often there would be a writer would write several scripts for Sea Hunt or another show as well. In this particular case, these scripts I have, these two, and I have more, are from a writer, her name was Teddy Sherman, T-E-D-D-I, Sherman, Teddy Sherman. I've spoken to Teddy Sherman. Very, very nice lady, very generous, and she was very happy when I spoke to her to remind her about her days as a writer for Sea Hunt, a lot of fun. And she actually sent me a couple of scripts, and she wrote right on to Alec, stay on the buddy system, Teddy Sherman. Pretty neat. So this is actually a script from Teddy Sherman, a writer of this particular story. You can see her name down here. September 1959, this particular episode. It's pretty neat. Even more so, she's very generously, as I said, this is another one. To Alec, don't get the bends, Teddy Sherman. And so this is another script that she wrote the act for, the episode for. And interesting enough, when she sent this one to me, she sent me along her working copy. So this is her working copy, just loose leaves, and she's writing through here and talking about the story, how it's going to go, you see, and she makes notes on it, and then she would make up this story from the synopsis from the TV studio. She would make up the story as to how she thinks the episode would run, how the story would work, what would happen, and so on. And then once she had written this all out, she would send this to the studio to see if the studio liked what she had written. So you see that this was sent to the studio. It was received because it was stamped, very important, because she didn't want someone to steal her ideas. She wanted to get paid. So she had notes through here, and she would send this. They would stamp it, and then they would read it and decide, yeah, Teddy, that looks really good. You've done a good job on that story. Why don't you get busy now and make up the script for us? And she would get paid to make up the script. So this is kind of neat to actually have this working copy from one of the writers of a Sea Hunt episode, in this particular case, Teddy Sherman. So I'm very proud of these. I'll tell you a quick story about one of our Sea Hunt events that we had in Ohio, at one of the quarry events down there many years ago. And I was talking about almost the same thing. I was talking about the same little part of my Sea Hunt collection, the scripts. And in the audience was a beautiful woman by the name of Zale Perry. You may know her name. Certainly you Sea Hunt fans will know her name. Zale Perry was a very, very well-known diver in the 50s and 60s. And she acted mainly as a stunt diver in the Sea Hunt episodes, many of them. She was very well-known. Other shows as well, but in Sea Hunt. And she was there. She was at that event. Helping us to celebrate Sea Hunt and vintage diving, and she was sitting in the front of the audience, watching me as I did my Sea Hunt presentation and all the neat stuff, some of which you've seen. And I came to the scripts, and I picked up one of the scripts, and I said, "This is script so and so. It's for this episode." And I mentioned the name of the episode, and I started to talk about it. And Zale jumped up out of the audience, came up to the front, and she said, "Let me see that." And she took it from my hands, and she started to read through it. She said, "I remember this. I was in this. I remember this show." I'll tell you, folks, very gratifying for me. Zale Perry, famous diver, legend of diving, actor in Sea Hunt, at one of our shows, and she came up, she looked at one of my scripts and just loved it. Tears in her eyes, too. It was a wonderful event. I want to share one more thing with you. It's kind of funny. I think you'd get a kick out of this. Besides the scripts, I've been able over the years to pick up another little piece of interesting Sea Hunt-related memorabilia. And here's an example. This is an actor's contract. The actors were under contract, of course. They were contracted to work in a particular episode, Sea Hunt episode, certain date, and all the details, how much they were going to get paid, and when they had to work, what they had to do, and so on. So here's a contract right here, for instance, and this contract is for Robert Conrad. A lot of you may know Robert Conrad. And it talks about, this was in 1958, he's going to work on Sea Hunt episode so-and-so, and on it goes, explains. And he has signed it at the bottom, and then the representative for Ziv Productions has signed it as well. And you can see very clearly that Robert Conrad, he wasn't a very well-known actor back then. He was just a nice, young, talented actor. But you can see very clearly that Robert Conrad was he was offered and signed to accept $100 a day. $100 a day to work on a Sea Hunt episode. Pretty neat piece of paper. Now, interesting enough, what makes it more interesting is that at the same time frame, different episode, yes, but the same time frame, in the late 50s, I have another contract from this gentleman, and you may remember him as well. His name is Leonard Nimoy. Leonard Nimoy, you remember him? Of course, he became a famous actor. In the late 50s, he was a nobody. Good-looking, slim, talented, but nobody knew him. But he also worked on Sea Hunt, worked with Lloyd Bridges on a good number, actually. Both Robert Conrad and Leonard Nimoy worked on a number of Sea Hunt episodes. So here's his contract for an episode that he agreed to work on, signed by everybody. And you can see that Leonard Nimoy, for whatever reason, was able to negotiate a little more money. He got $150 a day. 125? Thank you, Kevin. $125 a day. So there you go. Robert Conrad got $100 a day, and Leonard Nimoy got $125 a day. Pretty interesting. I'm going to show you one more. One more. Here's another contract. Same time frame. Jeff Bridges. That's right. Jeff Bridges, probably about 6 or 7 years old at the time. He actually played in several episodes. I remember most of them because I could relate to Jeff Bridges because we were about the same age. I'm watching him at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and I'm the same age. Imagine how jealous I was. But anyway, here's Jeff Bridges' contract, and signed by him, an episode in Sea Hunt. And you see down here that Jeff Bridges has signed it, and a very childish signature, Jeff Bridges. And underneath, his mom's signature, Dorothy Bridges, because she'd have to sign for him as well, being a minor, accepted by Ziv Productions. Same time frame as both Leonard Nimoy and Robert Conrad. Oh, look up here. Jeff Bridges. $200 a day. Now, I don't know if Robert Conrad and Leonard Nimoy were making 100 or 120. Knew that Jeff Bridges, this 10-year-old boy, was making 200. I don't think it really matters. These are private matters. But anyway, I found it very interesting when I found these contracts and compared them. It kind of appealed to me. Anyway, there you go, folks. More interesting stuff from my Sea Hunt collection, the scripts in particular, and some more trivia. I hope you've enjoyed that. I think Kevin wants me to tell you that, is this going to be the last one, Kev? This is the last. We do these playlists in series. So there's a series of these Sea Hunt remembered episodes. So I think this is the last one. We've done 10 or so, and I hope you really enjoyed them. We'll be starting a game. I'm going to be doing some tech tips, starting up with tech tips again soon. A lot of fun with those. I really enjoy those. And then maybe in a little while, I don't know, Kevin does all the planning. All I do is I just stand up here and talk. He does all the planning, but we'll be doing some more Sea Hunt. Now, you know, I'm going to tell you something. Tech tips and vintage scuba, and now Sea Hunt playlists. There's 3 different playlists. So look at them all. And if you have enjoyed them or you have comments, then send them in. Because Kevin sees all the comments. So if you would rather see Sea Hunt remembered than tech tips, say so. If you would rather see more tech tips about scuba diving, say so. It's you. We're doing this for you. And I hope you're enjoying it. Talk to you again real soon. Alec, Peirce, Sea Hunt remembered.